The story you're about to witness is a stark reminder that the distance between privilege and destitution is often just a matter of who's willing to look away. Our core pillars, prejudice showdowns, poetic justice, and underdog comebacks, have rarely been laid bare with such devastating clarity. This is a story ripped from the very heart of bullying, racism, and corporate snobbery, where the truth was not just hidden but weaponized against a child. The security guard's hand, a symbol of the ruthless order maintained within Montgomery Tower, clamped down on the thin shoulder of Quesa Williams. 11 years old, cornrows pulled tight, a worn jacket 2 sizes too big, and a crumpled piece of paper clutched like a lifeline. Quesa, a girl who knew the cold reality of Harlem streets, stood amidst a lobby that gleamed with the kind of untouchable Manhattan wealth that makes the poor invisible. Just 3 feet away, shielded by his dark designer glasses and a bubble of privilege, stood Cameron Montgomery. 8 years old, white blonde hair perfectly styled, clad in clothes that cost more than Quesa's family earned in a month. He was the billionaire's son, the boy everyone in this fortress was paid to protect, the child everyone believed was blind since birth. "I told you," the guard snarled, his face contorted with the kind of reflexive prejudice born of power and contempt. "You people can't just walk in here. This isn't some charity." But Quesa wasn't looking for charity. She was holding a fragile key to a monstrous secret. Her voice cracked, yet her conviction was absolute. "But he can see," she insisted, holding up the paper. "Please, you have to listen. He's not blind. Someone's been making him pretend. And I can prove it." At the sound of those explosive words, Cameron went rigid. His small hands clenched. Quesa saw, even through the dark lenses, the swift, terrifying drain of color from his face. The guard's ugly laugh echoed off the indifferent marble walls. "You're telling me this boy, who's been blind since birth, who every doctor in New York has examined, you're telling me he can see? You out of your mind?" Quesa took a step toward Cameron. The boy flinches. Not vaguely, not randomly, but with the precise, instinctive recoil of someone who sees a movement coming directly at them. "Look at him," Quesa pleaded, pointing to the telltale reaction. "He just reacted to me moving. Blind people don't." But New York City, 2023, is a place where the distance between the penthouse and the pavement is an unbridgeable canyon. The few well-dressed people in the lobby averted their eyes with practiced indifference. The pressure was immense. Cameron's small, terror-laced voice piped up, practiced and desperate, "I can't see her. I can't see anything. I'm blind." Yet, his head was turned, his body angled exactly toward Quesa. The paper in her shaking hands, a piece of a hidden truth, trembled with words written in careful, childish script, medical records, misdiagnosis, Dr. Patterson. And most damning of all, he can see. To understand this impossible moment, how an 11-year-old girl from Harlem came to hold the key to one of Manhattan's most guarded secrets, we have to go back 3 weeks. Quesa's life was a rigorous routine set by fluorescent, flickering lights, Harlem Presbyterian Hospital, 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Her mother, Mama Valerie, worked long shifts in the hospital laundry, while Quesa did her homework, dreaming of a day she'd wear scrubs and save lives, not wash the remnants of them. Then, he walked in. Cameron Montgomery. A boy a year or 2 younger than Quesa, holding the hand of his impeccably dressed mother. He was white, expensive, and carried himself with a hesitant, cautious gait. The dark glasses screamed money and permanence. Blind, Quesa thought. Her heart felt a complicated ache for the boy who looked like he should be running and playing. His mother, Miranda Montgomery, guided him with gentle precision. But then, Quesa saw it. As they passed a painted wall, Cameron's free hand instinctively reached out, fingers trailing across the surface. Not a search, but a brief, almost imperceptible contact that made his cautious face flicker into something that looked like recognition. A puzzle piece that didn't fit the picture. Mama, perpetually exhausted and smelling of industrial bleach, confirmed the boy's identity, Cameron Montgomery, son of the man who owned half of Manhattan, including this hospital. Diagnosed with congenital blindness since birth. Poor baby, Mama sighed. All that money and it can't buy the one thing he needs. But Quesa couldn't let it go. She started watching. She noticed the slight but intentional turns of his head. She spent hours in the hospital library, researching optic nerve disorders and finding a chilling case study, a boy, years ago, diagnosed blind, who was only discovered to be pretending when he instinctively flinched away from a thrown ball. On the third morning, Quesa prepared a test. She dropped her bright yellow pencil, which she'd practiced rolling to stop exactly 3 feet in front of Cameron's path. Her heart hammered a frantic rhythm as he approached, guided by his mother, his oblivious billionaire father, Robert Montgomery, sharp and imposing, barking into his phone about stocks. 3 feet. 2 feet. Cameron's foot shifted. A fractional, minuscule adjustment that anyone not watching for it would miss. He didn't fumble into the pencil, nor did he search around it. He stepped precisely over it, the movement of someone who knew exactly where the obstacle lay. Quesa knew then, he could see. The next morning, Quesa put her theory to the ultimate test. She timed her move as the Montgomery family walked toward the specialist's office and let out a genuine, piercing shriek of terror, doubling over and grabbing her ankle, letting herself fall. The reaction was immediate and chaotic. Robert dropped his phone. Miranda gasped. And Cameron's hands flew up in front of his face. Not a blind person's defensive crouch to the side, but the universal, instinctive gesture of someone who sees something falling toward them and moves to protect their eyes. It lasted less than a second, but Quesa saw it. And judging by the horror on Miranda Montgomery's suddenly pale face, she saw it too. Quesa's subsequent research at the Schomburg Center revealed the cracks in the Montgomery facade, a sealed family court case referencing a custody evaluation, an undisclosed medical malpractice settlement with a previous pediatrician over a misdiagnosis, and a quickly buried Child Protective Services report. The pieces formed an ugly picture of a wealthy family using their immense power to bury the truth. Armed with this, and the help of her deeply conflicted, but ultimately courageous mother, Valerie, Quesa's detective work intensified. Valerie, using her invisibility as a laundry worker, risked everything to access Cameron's medical file. The shocking truth lay in black and white. At 3 days old, Cameron had normal visual reflexes. 2 weeks later, a different doctor, the Montgomery hired Dr. Patterson, diagnosed him as blind. No injury, no illness, just a sudden reversal. A deliberate, sustained lie. The only logical explanation was monstrous. Robert Montgomery had forced his son to pretend to be blind to gain an advantage in a custody dispute with Miranda, knowing no mother would willingly leave a disabled child, especially one requiring specialist care only vast wealth could provide. Valerie and Quesa found an ally in Dr. Andrea Lewis, a trusted pediatric ophthalmologist and former colleague of Valerie's, who agreed to examine Cameron if they could bring him in safely. This set the stage for a dangerous, desperate infiltration. Valerie, posing as a delivery driver, drove to the Montgomery's secluded Westchester estate. With Quesa on a recorded line via a cheap burner phone, acting as her eyes and ears, Valerie entered Cameron's room. She spoke softly, truthfully, telling the boy she knew his secret. The recording captured his heart-wrenching confession, "I'm not supposed to tell. Daddy said if I was good, if I pretended really well, then everyone would be happy. And if I wasn't good, Mama would leave." The plan was for a quiet, official investigation. But before Valerie could leave, Robert Montgomery appeared. His threats were cold, calculated, and aimed not just at Valerie, but at Quesa. "I can make your daughter's school records disappear. I can make your life not worth living." Faced with a powerful man moving to destroy them, filing a $10 million lawsuit for extortion, and attempting to have Quesa removed from her mother's care, Quesa made a desperate gamble. She looked into her phone's camera and recorded a video. It was a raw, undeniable testament to the truth. She played the recording of Cameron's voice, detailed the medical fraud, and laid bare Montgomery's threats. She uploaded it instantly, tagging every major news organization she could find, effectively taking the narrative out of the billionaire's hands. The breaking point came when Marcus Jenkins, retired NBA star and black billionaire philanthropist, retweeted the video, offering his entire legal team to the Williams family pro bono. The public outcry was immediate and deafening. News crews swarmed Montgomery Tower. The Prejudice showdown was no longer confined to a marble lobby, it was on the national stage. Under immense public pressure, Child Protective Services and the NYPD moved. Dr. Lewis examined Cameron and confirmed the truth: he had 20/20 vision. The diagnosis was a lie. Within days, the poetic justice began. Robert Montgomery and the complicit Dr. Patterson were arrested for child abuse, false imprisonment, and conspiracy. Miranda Montgomery was granted emergency custody of her son, a mother finally escaping her gilded cage. And Cameron, free from his father's psychological prison, began to see the world for the first time. The story of the underdog comeback culminates in a quiet, beautiful moment months later. Cameron Montgomery, now enrolled at a regular school in Harlem, walks home from class with his new friend, Quesa Williams. "I'm starting to believe that," Cameron says, looking around with bright, seeing eyes, now genuinely delighted by the normal chaos of the world. A small truth, told by one brave girl, had brought down a giant lie and saved a child. If this story moved you, if it made you think about the power of paying attention and speaking up, I'd love for you to subscribe to our channel for more stories about courage, truth, and justice. And in the comments below, let us know where you're watching from. Your engagement helps stories like this reach more people and proves that even the smallest voice can make the biggest difference.